Good morning, Family Worship Center. I'm Marcia Smith.
And I'm Shelby Warden.
And we're the directors of Beckley Dream Center. The topic we were given this week for our short devotion is God Cares for the Less Fortunate. Shelby and I deal with the less fortunate, the underserved, and the underprivileged every day. And we see on a daily basis how God does care for them and how He supplies their needs. But as we began praying about this and thinking about it, two scriptures came to mind. The first being out of 1 Kings 17, where Elijah was sent to minister to the widow and her son, and he asked her for a loaf of bread, and she said, I have but enough to make one loaf for me and my son. And he said, you make mine first, and your jar of flour and your bottle of oil will not run dry until rain comes to the land. And she did this, and she was not without food for herself and her son during this time of drought. Well, we see people every day who come to us and say, you know, if it were not for the Dream Center providing food, I wouldn't be able to buy my medicine, or I would have to choose whether to eat or pay the utility bill. When we first began this, we had numerous older people especially telling us that they were eating cat food. They were eating out of trash cans. And some of the grocery stores would leave food, that day-old pastries and that type of thing, sitting in a bag outside the dumpster because they knew these people were coming to eat. But they tell us now they don't have to do that because the Dream Center is providing them with a box of food. So that's one way that we can tell you God does care for the less fortunate.
All right, I'm going to read from Mark 12:41. And it said, Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in her two very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, Truly, I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Well, we go to one apartment complex and take food, and the workers that go up there ran into this little lady, and she wanted to buy a meal. And of course they weren't going to tell her no, so they sold her or gave her one of the meals that they had. But she said no. She said, I want to pay for it. So between their few little conversations, they finally took her $2 and brought it down. So now every time that we take boxes there, we always take an extra meal for this little lady, and her $2 always come back in. But you know, it doesn't matter how far down we get sometimes. We don't have to lose our pride. And she hadn't lost hers and wasn't going to.
So these are just a few examples of how God cares for the less fortunate. But we want you to leave you with this. Always remember that does not God only care for the less fortunate. He cares for you too. Have a blessed and wonderful day.